Welcome along then to the ESPN FC studio. I'm Dan Thomas, joined today by Craig Burley, Shaka Hirsloff and Robbie O as we relive the 2014 World Cup final. Let's get straight to it, shall we?
Well, if you say so.
Well, let's do it. Just a reminder what the starting 11s were. No changes for Argentina. There was, of course, debate as to whether or not Angel Di Maria would feature. In the end, he was on the bench. Meanwhile, for Germany, they initially named the same starting 11 to the side that thrashed Brazil. However, Sami Khedira picked up an injury in the warm-up, so Kramer came in to midfield to play alongside Schweinsteiger at the Maracanã, one of the most famous stadiums in the world. Boys, where do you want to start?
Well, we've got to start with Germany, and it wasn't a classic game. They didn't open up Argentina in the way they did Brazil, but for me it was about the spirit of this team. We talked about, everybody doing their little bit, whether they were starting, whether they were coming off the bench. Interesting, as Shaka said, 2 subs combined to get the winner. Just at the time in the game where I think we're all thinking this is going to go to penalties. A little bit of extra quality coming off the bench was a difference, and it was a beautiful finish by Götze.
I think the biggest concern for me with Germany against Argentina was this high defensive line that they played all tournament long. And would Lionel Messi be able to expose it? Would Argentina be able to expose them? No real opportunities. One, the Higuain, that was a poor header by Cruz. Messi had one that he should have done better. Palacios should have had one. But other than that, they looked very comfortable, dominated possession and dictated the flow of the game.
This German side have been resilient. At times they've been brilliant in the game against Brazil, but I think at all times calm and composed. No histrionics like we've seen from some of the teams, and I'm thinking about Brazil. Lost Sami Khedira in the warm-up, Dan. We think it's a calf injury. Bring Kramer in. Now it's a huge blow for the Germans, but they soldier on. Then they lose Kramer to a head knock, so he's got to bring another player in. Schürrle comes off the bench, but the Germans still stay methodical, calm and composed. They knew they were going to have to slug this one out today. It wasn't a great game, but they absolutely deserve to win this World Cup.
And great credit to Jogi Löw. We talked about him getting criticism, but he started against Brazil and he played closer up, and I'm thinking, should be Muller, should be an extra midfield player. He gets it right. He has to make big substitutions today. Götze comes in, Schürrle comes in at the right time, brings the kid Kramer in, that didn't work. Every time he's made a decision, this group of players have got on with the job, as Craig said, have done what's required and found a way to get to victories. Semi-finals, brilliant football, as good a football as we've seen on the World Cup stage. Today, resilience, understanding, controlling the game, a little bit of quality in the end is enough.
And he understood, Robbie, as well, which I think some coaches didn't. He understood that, the Lam scenario wasn't working as well as he wanted.
Big enough to save us wrong money.
And all the talk in the German media, especially the ones that I could translate, was that
Google Translate.
Not bad. I just asked Ralph Honigstein. He wasn't going to change it. That was the message he was given. I'm not going to change it. But he did. He realised that the centre-half needed a bit of cover, that Mertesacker wasn't having a great tournament. He needed a bit more pace and mobility. So he put Boateng in there. Lam could tuck in, sweep up behind, and you could get forward. And I think most of the decisions this guy's made have been excellent. All the players coming off the bench have come in and done a job.
I know we're speculating here, but how many coaches at the World Cup would have been as brave as Jogi Löw has in making those changes? And I'm not sure too many. We've seen some pretty...
What was so brave about them, Sean?
Well, it's you don't see managers at this level admitting they're wrong mid-tournament and making a change. And you can look at a number of managers and question exactly that. Look no further than Jogi Löw, not Jogi Löw, sorry, Phil Scolari for starters. As somebody who had an idea, this is my plan going forward, regardless of how badly it was working, I'm just going to stick with it and soldier on and hope I get it right. And as you see, as Jogi Löw has now proved, that's not the way to do things.
But was it not just that Jogi Löw had more ammunition, more quality on the bench? When you take a look at Argentina's substitutions, Kun Agüero is clearly not fit. No. Fernando Gago isn't going to win you a game, and Palacios got horrible hair.
Yeah, I'm with you on those. But it's one thing to say that. It's another thing to manage a group of players. Götze started, by the way. Klose didn't. He's had players come in, and as Craig said, they've impacted the game. There was a stage in that game where I think maybe some of the players who'd started the game the minds were on penalties. The 2 substitutes weren't. It's a beautiful finish by a guy with a lot of talent.
When that went in, Dan, you asked me if Romero could have done better.
Yeah.
I think maybe he could have gotten a little bit closer
to Götze. A little quicker off his line.
A little bit quicker, and that's the difference between Manuel Neuer and somebody like Romero.
Okay, are you criticising a goalkeeper?
I'm praising Manuel Neuer. there's a big difference there. And you saw it with the chance with Palacio. When he got his opportunity, as soon as he got it under control, Neuer was not more than 3 or 4 yards out. Neuer, though physically those two are the same height, somehow Neuer always looked bigger on the park. And that was the difference between Palacio finding the back of the net in Argentina winning 1-0 and Germany now lifting the cup.
It just shows you how in a split second in this game that we sort of all love and watch, that you can make yourself a hero, because Mario Götze didn't have a very good tournament, if the truth be known. He's now going to be the hero and remembered around the world and in Germany, because he played him and then he dropped him. And all the talk coming into this tournament, was it going to be Götze or was it going to be Ozil? Now, Ozil played most, if not all, of the games. Götze struggled, but he comes off the bench and he's got that little bit of quality, because that finish was difficult. That finish was a really, really difficult finish, and the ball from Schürrle was an absolute...
But don't you think this tournament has been about a team rather than any one individual? Because you could pick out your Schweinsteigers, your Mullers, your Neuers, your Lambs. I mean, they've just been top draw consistently, putting in big performances. Götze was the man on the day, and that's what I've talked about, the spirit of the team. Whatever it's been, they've been a selfless group to get the result.
And is this a platform in which Jogi Löw said it, that this team could dominate now for a long time internationally?
Well, you would think so. I mean, they're young enough. We all kind of praise Germany because of their history and because of their big tournament experience, but nobody really felt that they had the best 11 or even the best 14. Yet, after the tournament, we're now praising a starting 11 and praising Jogi Löw for how he uses substitutes.
I think what Germany have had for me is the best functioning midfield in the whole tournament. And I think, you know, OK, look, every facet of your team needs to be up to scratch. But I think if your midfield, central midfield and wider players are absolutely producing the goods, then you've got a chance. And I know Khedira missed the game, but Khedira, Kroos, Schweinsteiger, Müller, Ozil to a certain extent, these guys were, and Lam when he was in there, these guys really drove Germany forward.
After the break, we're going to be talking about Lionel Messi and Argentina. Does it help a team like Germany? Because if I ask you to name their star player, I think arguably all three you would name different players.
Yeah.
They haven't got one man that has to shoulder all the responsibility.
And that's important. That's when it becomes a team. That's when players work for each other. And it's not like if we do all right and get it to this main guy. There's lots of main guys in that team, and that's why I think they've got a chance of dominating football for a while now, because it's based around a group of players, not form of one person in particular. OK, well, coming up then after the break, we'll be discussing Argentina and in particular the performance from Lionel Messi. And for a lot more analysis on that World Cup final, you can go to ESPNFC.com. Now, welcome back. Before the final, this was the 10-man list for the Golden Ball, which, of course, is given to the best player of the tournament. It may surprise you to learn that the man who won it was Lionel Messi. Yeah, I'm surprised. In fact, we were watching the shots of him going up to get it before. Obviously, he was looking not particularly happy. Obviously, because he's going to pick his loser's medal up. But I was shocked. I mean, I think there's 3, 4, 5 German players. Even Schweinsteiger's not on this list here. Toni Kroos, Philipp Lahm, Thomas Müller, Ian Robben's been better. And if you singled it down to an Argentina player, I think Javier Mascherano's been a better player for Argentina in this tournament. I thought they were giving it Messi to give him the honour of handing it to somebody, to be honest. I think he was looking like, what
Messi looked a bit embarrassed by it.
Yeah, but I believe it's a FIFA committee, whatever that is, that vote for this thing. So.
Normally, boys, I ask you to give marks out of 10 for all the players when we talk about big matches. Messi, marks out of 10 for this game. What would you have given him?
If I was feeling kind, I'd give him a 7. And I agree with Craig 100%. There has been better players in this competition. There was 5 or 6 better players on the pitch today than Lionel Messi in the World Cup final.
He wasn't that far off being...
It wasn't terrible.
The Lionel Messi that we know. You talk about the clearance from Boateng, the pulled effort that didn't really miss by much, and all of a sudden, with inches or a yard and a half, one way or the other, he goes from scoring 2 goals to now being very critical of his World Cup final.
Yeah, but that's the way
that's the margin, Shaq.
I agree.
Greatness and
but those are the margins, and that's my point. Those are the margins. It's not that he was that poor. he was just that close to being great. And then I feel you have to give the Germans credit as well. I thought the Germans did a great job in restricting those opportunities.
I slightly disagree, because I thought the Argentinians started well, and I thought in many respects the extras, the support players, the other 10, I thought did okay today, and I thought he didn't quite get to his level to win it for Argentina. And that's the disappointment for Lionel Messi on this day, when we're all talking about the comparisons and the legacy and all that. He never quite got to that stage of world class when he can make those moments, whether it's scoring or making a goal.
I thought he flat trapped bullied a little bit in this tournament, and by that I mean, you know, against the weaker teams. You know, you've got Nigeria, Iran and Bosnia, who it was their first World Cup, decent side in the group. OK, you expected Argentina to get out. They did. OK, he scored some goals. Set Di Maria up against Switzerland.
Yep, extra time.
Not a great side, and their ranking, FIFA ranking, is an absolute joke. Yeah, he has got 4 goals. I don't think 1 assist is great. And when it got to the nitty-gritty against the better teams, I don't think he was able to reproduce the performances that we see most weeks when he's playing for Barcelona. And I think that'll be all the talk. Whoever's doing, you know, football shows around the world and talking about this game and talking about Lionel Messi, I think most people will be having the same conversation.
Yeah, Craig, it's interesting. We've been talking about it the last couple of days, and we've had some quite animated discussions when you're talking about Messi and about how he doesn't need to do it at the World Cup to be regarded as one of the greatest ever players. Today has not helped his cause.
No. And I think he's, you know, had an opportunity today to ram it down a lot of people's throats. Now, whether that makes a difference to him as an individual, I don't know. I don't know if he's worried about the perception in Argentina. I don't know if he worries about what people think. He's not become a bad player. What I would say is that on the biggest stage in global football, I thought he was disappointing. Really disappointing.
When you see the finish of Mario Götze, that's the kind of thing you expect from Messi if we're talking about the player that we're... Because that's the difference between the two teams today. As tight as it was, as much as whoever controlled it, it came down to a sublime finish and a great execution. Götze did it for Germany. Messi, who we talk about as being world-class, wasn't able to...
Would Maradona have scored those chances?
I think Maradona might have taken the one that he's got in it and put past the post. And I think Maradona in that instance at least works a goal.
And you know what, I think that's the difference. As much as we've had this argument, I wanted to see Lionel Messi dominate.
I think we all did.
I think just about every neutral wanted to, but he has not been able to. And as a result, I feel that he's still always going to have that. Well, he's doing it for Barcelona, yes, but he's got all the players around him. The squad cost so much more. When things weren't in his favour, he couldn't do it, which is a criticism you can't level at Diego Maradona. That when Argentina weren't great, he was able to hold them to greatness. And that, for me, will be the differentiation between Maradona and Messi for me, and I think many Argentinians would feel the same.
I know this is a messy conversation, but I think what really done for Argentina wasn't just Lionel Messi. It was the fact that they defended well, we know that. It was the fact that Aguero never looked fit.
Yeah, and let's not forget Higuain.
Higuain had a poor tournament, a great goal against
Belgium.
But missed other chances. Di Maria was a big blow. So they had these other facets of the team that really didn't function, which put even more pressure on him, which meant his lack of sterling performances at the key time in the tournament have been magnified even more because these other guys have not been stepping up to bail out when he's not performed.
Hey boys, there's good news though. The World Cup may be over.
Go on then.
We've still got a job. ESPN FC will be back tomorrow. 6 days a week, we'll be with you every single day as we'll be discussing all the big football stories. So we've talked about the golden ball. Shaka, let's talk about the big one, shall we? The golden gloves.
Who cares about...
There's only one prize worth lifting in the World Cup, the golden glove.
Who would you have given it to?
Absolutely Manuel Neuer.
Who did win it?
Choice, who was fantastic throughout, didn't show a weakness at all tournament long. And then the supporting cars, Guillermo Ochoa, fantastic. I think proven himself to be the best shot stopper in the tournament. And then there wasn't a lot to give between Tim Howard and Keylor Navas.
And Yarmouth, Shaq.
Hold on, let me finish. Tim Howard, I thought, was fantastic positioning experience. Enyema gets it for his shot stopping, but then let himself down with anything that came in the air, he seemed to be a little bit nervy about it.
He was a great goalkeeper unless he had to deal with crosses.
That's right.
What about Courtois? Surely he deserves to be there. He didn't do much
He
wrong, did
didn't. He was not tested.
What about Romero, Argentina?
He did well, good clean sheet record up until I think it was something like 450 minutes before he conceded.
That's not bad.
But well protected and not again.
Well protected.
No, it's like Courtois didn't really have a whole lot to do. Those five had a lot to do, including Manuel Neuer.
They were busy.
Yeah, well, he's not in my list.
Well, there you go.
That's
Okay.
not my fault. It's not my fault either.
Okay, so we've done the golden glove, we've done the golden ball. Let's do the golden boot, shall we? Which goes to James Rodriguez, of course, scored in every single game in which he played. Great fun to watch him in this tournament.
As were Colombia.
Yeah.
So, you know, credit to them. And they went back, even though they went out, they went back to a very good reception, I believe, in Colombia. And this fella enhanced his reputation. It was no real surprise. I mean, he'd made a big move from Porto.
No, I think it was surprising how good he was, Craig, surely.
Well, we knew he was a good player coming into the competition. What the World Cup offers is a platform for
Give Jimmy
experienced
some love.
players and younger players to showcase their talents, and that's exactly what this young lad did.
He looked like he enjoyed.
I've just said he's not a surprise.
He looked like he enjoyed the stage.
Yes.
You saw some players who looked a bit inhibited. He looked like every time he pulled the shirt on, he wanted to show us how good a player he was, and his goals were outstanding.
Talk of him going to Real Madrid.
Got a good agent, apparently.
Yeah,
Mendes.
yeah, apparently.
West Ham would have him. West Ham. It doesn't work out.
Not MLS.
Let's talk about the young player of the tournament, Paul Pogba. That was given to.
Yeah, I thought he was outstanding in the group stages, Pogba, but when we got to knockout, when he came up against Germany, he went missing a little bit for me, and he's shown that, yes, he can be accepted. I said at the time, he's Patrick Vieira plus some when he's on his game. He takes the game to a whole new level, but there's a maturity that he'll have to get, especially when he comes against big players, that he has to show he can do it on those days as well.
This is Robbie Earle's team of the tournament.
Neuer in goal. Aurier, the full-back at Ivory Coast, I thought was outstanding. I've sort of shoehorned Philippe Lahm over to the left side. He plays anywhere. Vlor, Medel, not the biggest, but made up for it with his tenacity. Mascherano, I thought was Argentina's best player. James Jimmy Rodriguez gets in, as did Aaron Robben, who was probably my player of the tournament. Neymar, before the broken back, still was probably Brazil's best man. Messi gets in, as does Thomas Müller for his outstanding tournament.
Gentlemen, what do you think of that?
I was thinking about the team of the tournament last night, and I was thinking about Gary Medel, because I think he was, although Chile went out.
Yeah, and he's not 5'2", by the way, as Steve Nichols keeps saying.
No, he's 5'2.5".
So as is tradition, that's the best team of the tournament.
I get the dirty job.
The worst team
I always
of the tournament.
get the dirty job.
Craig Burley.
Right, Casillas, nightmare tournament, should have been dropped by Del Bosque. Asa Kotu headbutted a teammate, that's a definite in. Pepe got sent off, okay, he was stupid in the first game against Germany. David Luiz, all over the...
He was captain. Luiz obviously must be a captain of the world.
He's captain calamity. Danny Alves again dropped, not good defending. I thought Hazard was really disappointing, looked disinterested at times. Boateng had an argument with his manager, was sent home. Allegedly, Montari attacked his manager, he was sent home. Balotelli had a good opening game against England and then just faded badly. Anybody that bites somebody at a major tournament gets in my team. That's why Suarez is in. And Fred, I was going to put Fred at every position, including goalkeeper, because he was that bad. And you know the thing is, they're all quality footballers, most of them.
Well, Fred, who retired, by the way.
Let me retract that. 10 of those are decent quality, but they had poor tournaments for one reason or another.
Final thoughts on the World Cup. The group stages we were talking about, this is the best World Cup ever.
Started well,
Headlines.
but fizzled.
Fizzled?
Nah, great World Cup. Just drama all over the place. Biting 7-1s,